the resident associations and the representatives of tenants for this discussion. It's a very important discussion because, Chair, the county government has a mandate to execute what is within its functions in the 4th schedule. And the county government will execute its mandate. So long as it is lawful, the county government will execute its mandate to the people of Nairobi. The first thing I must say, Chair, county property, because I've had somebody saying the issue of trustees, that we're only trustees. It is true. The county government holds all the property in trust for the people. Not the people of Jericho or the people of Woodley, but the people of Nairobi in their entirety. If the people of Nairobi, through their delegated responsibility, want Woodley to become a stadium, all of it, it'll become a stadium. Or if they want a change, if there's a different plan, the people of Nairobi, if there are 2,000 more people who want to come and live where there are 20, and it is legal, we have the power to execute that. That we must get very clearly, Chairman. Number two, I've had many questions, and I don't know where Gachagua has gone to. He's here. About not having seen me. When we invite you for meetings and you don't come, and it's the same with many of them, I don't know where else we need to be seen, because we've invited these chairs for meetings. I personally invited Jericho for a meeting on the 7th of April to meet me, not anybody else. If I read you the contents of that letter, just open it. The content of the letter is for a public participation forum and engagement with HE, the governor. That was the letter we wrote. But, Chair, we have a problem where the leadership of these associations do not want us to associate with the people directly. And you need to know that we can associate with the people directly and also through you. There are tenants. A landlord can engage with the tenant at any time. Chair, that meeting was turned into chaos. The people in this room who came to stop it, there were placards, they brought goons. We just kept quiet. We have sent another letter because, Chair, what they're going to do is to prevent their residents from actually getting what the government is offering. What we're doing is an offer. You know, we're offering that this is what we're going to redevelop this place. You should, partner with us, take this amount of money, go, and then once you're out, when you come back, you'll receive your property. It is not mandatory for us to do that, Chair. It is not at all. If you look at the national projects, people are being given a small amount and with no guarantee at all. You're being given a guarantee and a title and a house, Chair. So I think that magnanimity, or maybe that's the wrong word, but the goodwill being extended by the county government must be responded to, Chair. Chair, the letter was dated 3rd April. To Jericho Estate tenants, each tenant got this letter. As you may be aware, the county intends to redevelop most of the old estates, etc. The governor recognizes your very important role in this process as key stakeholders and invites all tenants of Jericho Estate for public engagement for a Monday, 7th April, Charter Hall. That's an invite. How else, when they keep saying no public participation, how else do you want public participation? When you're invited by the governor himself and you don't attend. Yeah? When Gachagua invited Woodley residents, you didn't come. Yourself. I don't know how else. Sorry, let me not do that.
Please, I had cautioned that we don't exchange, and Governor, you know the rules of the House.
So, Chair, there are many instances where we've invited the chairs for engagement, but you've heard very well what one of the chairs has said, that when these committees were formed, the county or NMS then was supposed to engage only through that committee. Chair, that is completely wrong. Even in terms of us as representatives, Article 1 says that the people are the sovereign power is with the people and they can exercise it directly. You cannot then be a group of people blocking us from our tenants and from the residents.
Governor, can I just find out, why not have that meeting in Jericho?
Because people who are not residents of Jericho will come.
I thought the residents are there. If you want to meet directly with them, you go there.
You cannot have a controlled meeting there. And I would ask you to try.
You are a government. I have had a meeting there. I went there when they had kicked out the officers, and we actually had a meeting.
Chair, we can meet them wherever. You see, they were kicked out. In fact, when the chair was speaking, he said, we did not allow anybody else from the county government to speak. Chair, City Hall is theirs also. We can meet them anywhere, Chair, that we deem fit to.
No, I was just following your train of thought about direct engagement. And this is my advice.
You
are a government. You have kicked out people from markets. You have enforcement officers. You can have a meeting in Jericho.
I hear your suggestion, but it's a decision that we have to make.
Okay, it's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation.
I'll be available for that meeting.
We can
invite me.
And Chair, we can find 10,000 people there. It is okay. We will engage. We're also politicians, Chair. We're a government, but we're also very astute politicians in this city. And Chair, for as many people as you hear representing here saying they're not for a project, you have an equal number saying they're for the projects. You have an equal number as those you've called. In fact, if you do another meeting next Tuesday, I can get representatives from the same estates to come and say that they want it to start. So at what point, Chair, does public participation stop and does the government execute? Because if you wait for 100% concurrence on any project, you will not do it. You will never do it. That is just generally. If we waited for 100% concurrence on Woodley, we would not have moved. In fact, if there was a need for concurrence in 1949 for these estates to be developed, they would not have been developed. Because there were people there who didn't want it. The people of Nairobi are 7 million people. If they feel a need for housing, 1,000 people in one estate or 200 people will not stop it. So long as it is being done lawfully, Chair, we will go on. Let me go to the specific questions. New Pomwani, I've had the petition on the issue. I just want people to understand, when you're a tenant and the courts have set a precedent, the court has ruled on it, you are a tenant, the landlord can do whatever they deem fit with that property, provided he's doing it within the law. When you talk about county assembly approval, it's the county assembly that has approved all these projects in the CIDP. The county integrated development plan has listed these projects. So the county assembly has approved. Once you approve a budget in Senate, for instance, does the CS come for each and every single project to seek a motion to approve? No. But you've approved the medium-term economic framework, you've approved the budget policy statement, projects are inside the BPS, and that is how it was approved. And they've said they've had engagements even with NMS, even before NMS. So I just want to disabuse the notion of no public participation. The meetings, and there's a schedule here you have in your folders, of 25th, is it 25th February or 25th what? May 2023. It was a public advertisement. It was on all the papers. It was posted in all these estates. If you choose not to attend, you cannot say there was no public participation. And in those public participation meetings, we have the video. We can share video. We can share. Because we have our media team that records those meetings. Even the press comes to those meetings. So you cannot say that public participation will only happen the way you feel it should happen as an individual. The people were very happy. In fact, if you look at our report, we have verbatim what people said word for word in those meetings. The questions that people, please allow.
Just 1 minute, Governor.
Sifuna.
No, just a minute.
May I just request that we let the Governor present?
Just a minute, Chair. Because, Governor, we had been guided that we need to follow the submissions with the documentation you have given us. In fact, I want to refer you to your report, that public participation report. And we had covered this last time, and you had promised to make some corrective measures. I don't want you to feel like I'm interrupting your flow of thought. If you look at the public participation report submitted by yourself in Lumumba, for instance, it is at page 31 of your report on public participation. It is clear what the residents told you, and they say, your own remarks there say the objective for this public participation was not met. And if I can run your memory a bit, in the last meeting we had, you made a commitment yourself that you will engage these residents of Lumumba, the residents of Jericho,
yes,
as many times as possible.
Yeah.
So is it really fair from that perspective of your own report to say that there has been effective public participation, at least in Lumumba?
But Chair, I have just explained that I then further invited them for a meeting. Part of what could have caused it not to be effective would have been the venue. But I invited them to come to Charter Hall. And residents came, but they were being stopped by the leadership. They came, but they were being blocked. They were being threatened. Those who would sign the register were being threatened. Chair, let me just tell you, under no uncertain terms, will anyone come in between us and the residents of the city? No one. No one. No individual. No individual. Just because you've been elected as a chair, you're holding that position also in trust for these people. The people who've come directly to us saying, please, we want to sign this thing. This thing has taken too long. Our people, I don't want another deal behind, I don't know what it is. But no individual, you cannot create, I don't want to call it brokers, but you cannot create another layer between us and our tenants. The tenants pay rent directly. There's no tenancy agreement that recognizes an association. These associations were formed by the county to make things easier, not things more difficult. You know, so Chair, that one, under no uncertain terms will we do that. So let me go to specifics. New Pumwani, and that's what I was explaining, and the senator came in. Some of it is TPS, tenant purchase scheme. The county government is your landlord. The courts have pronounced themselves, Bonagashago, that the county government can make a determination based on its plan where it sees this thing going. You know, that in the next 20 years, possibly, we need to bring down even those houses and build a hospital. If that is a decision we make through our cabinet, through our whatever processes in the county government, it will be made. People should not be entitled to these houses. Even if I was living in that, if I'm living in a house today that is not mine, it has a landlord, I will listen to what he's saying, so long as I have my rights under the tenancy agreement, whether it is months in lieu of notice, whether it is, now at least since it's public, there's public participation, but I don't think my landlord will give me public participation or any issue. But let us understand that. I know people are emotive about these houses. You've stayed there for long. Your relatives have been there for long, but please understand what the law is. There is no obligation by the county or by the law. There is no obligation for you to remain staying there or for those houses to remain as they are. They cannot. And it will be a squandered opportunity for us where we're seeing a place where we can increase housing, we can redevelop the place, not to do it. So, Chair, that is our position as a county government. That has been the position during NMS. That has been the position even before, when urban renewal was started by the city council, the first county government of Governor Kidero, the second county government of Governor Sonko, were the first ones now to implement, in addition to the two estates that already started, Jivanji and Park, and we will do it, Chair. Number two, I like the question that Senator Wambua, was it Chute, asked about the associations. Some estates have many formations. There's Woodley Residence, there's Woodley Welfare. Bwana Kashago has been there for a long time. You know, he's 28 years is not a short time, and he has a lot of this history. But always know that for as many as centers you'll get dissenters. If as leaders or those of us in executive position would wait for 100% concurrence to execute anything, we would never move, Chair. We would never. The issue of waiver, the rent waiver that was issued at that time in 2019 was actually deemed to be an illegal waiver. There's a city waivers, there's a waivers procedures law. The governor cannot issue a waiver. Even the ones you see where we have our photos on TV and rent whatnot, it says it's actually the CC Finance who is allowed to issue a waiver, and the waiver is for a period and for a reason. So and that one was really targeted at market stalls. You know, the stalls like Kenyatta Market, that the ones which are beyond the TPS stalls. That's what it was targeted. But what I know, there was an issue with that waiver that was then issued by the governor and the gazettement. Something being gazetted doesn't make it legal. A gazette notice is just a publication. You can gazette something that is illegal. But a gazette notice is a form of informing the public. Yes, gazettement does not give things the force of law. I have been in this house for 10 years. I know what I'm talking about. A sessional paper does not confer ownership. A gazette notice cannot confer ownership. There are only a number of ways through which you get ownership of land in this country. It cannot be an MOU. An MOU does not give you land. It doesn't. There are specific ways. Look at the land laws. Look at the laws of this country that give you land. The title deed of Jericho, Lumumba and Maringo, we have the title deed of 290 acres. What I said we were processing is a reservation for the specific housing projects in the specific areas. So that your JV vehicle, your joint venture vehicle between us and the developer, then holds that particular reservation, or for lack of a better word, let's even say a specific title. NLC has moved into the reservation space because now we're the lessor and the lessee. We can't lease land to ourselves. You know, you cannot be the lessor and the lessee. So that is why, and it would be good for you to speak to NLC. Also, please know, NLC does not own any land. It does not own land. NLC manages land on behalf of the county government and the national government. But they, within themselves, do not own land. They cannot give anyone an allotment of county land if the county has not approved so. That is in Article 62 of our Constitution. That is in Chapter 5. That is in our Land Act. Even the Physical Land Use Planning Act. Please know that. So even when you go, even when people, the leases expire, and I'll give you an example, national government leases that have expired in Nairobi, national government institutions, and they go for renewal, the NLC has to write to the county government to see if the county government accepts or rejects or has another plan for that land. So I think let us be very clear about that, and that is why the courts have pronounced themselves repeatedly. Now on Woodley, because I'm starting backwards, coming forward. There was a meeting on the 26th of February 2024, but you have told me you were under the weather, pole sana. But I took members of Woodley through the project. I showed them the diagrams, the architectural. I explained to them what this program is about. We sat with them. 20 of them signed on out of the 43. And those who signed on were then given compensation because the rest took us to court. When they took us to court, you have taken us to court, meaning you have not accepted what we are offering you. So we could not engage. The case was dismissed with costs, by the way. In fact, that was unprecedented. I've never seen a case where the public have gone to court and it's dismissed with costs. They were supposed to pay the county. Well, we started engaging again, and because I gave instructions that it is not fair, even if they've gone to court. Going to court is your right as a Kenyan. The same way coming to the Senate is your right as a Kenyan. I said, yes, they've gone to court, but still, since the case has been dismissed and they've lost it, if those who are willing to come, please come, let them come, and we give them the exact same offer of the 900,000 shillings, which is unheard of in our history. I don't know if you have any example of a tenant giving you 900,000 to go pay rent elsewhere and come back and you get a house for free and your allotment letter. They went to the Court of Appeal. So for those 20 residents, we were waiting for them. We will not engage them on the compensation and the allotment if they're still in court, because that then jeopardizes our position. It jeopardizes our position as of now. But we are willing, if they come out of that process, it's their right. It's their right. You know, it's their right. On lot 2 and lot 3, I think.
Is that the 22 that were mentioned?
The ones who didn't, yeah, the 22
the 22 that I mentioned.
That I mentioned.
Okay.
If any of them wishes to get out of it individually, they'll come and we'll process their payment, and we'll give them the allotment letter. The chief officer has given me an example of the allotment letter. I hope you can give the clerk so that it can be distributed. The second thing about Woodley, the issue of rents. I don't think we should belabor this. Rent reconciliation, Chair, is a daily process. I would invite you to just come one day visit City Hall Annex, our customer service center. There is an entire desk just on rent reconciliations. Somebody from Umoja, they have an issue with when they paid or it didn't go to this account, it didn't happen well. Somebody from Kariobangi. We have so many houses, as a county government. There's always an issue. So it's a normal thing. It is not done wholesale because there is no wholesale tenant. Our tenancy agreement legally is between an individual and the county government. So that is done regularly. But I want to implore upon our people, because if you look, for instance, at Woodley, the kind of houses you're talking about, they're not like Jericho and Maringo and the rest. Woodley is a house on an acre, even half an acre, with plush compound. I know because I have lived there, Chair. A rent of 10,000 shillings. If you don't pay rent of 10,000 shillings in such a property, 17,000, that's a big difference. For half an acre in Nairobi, in that part of Nairobi, rent is minimum 150,000 shillings. The same services we want as Nairobians, they're not paid for by stones or by mangoes. They're paid for by this amount of money. Everybody should carry their part of, everyone should carry their weight. And it's very unfair, because you have this middle class citizens, so to speak, in Woodley, whom I have even relatives who live there, but who do not pay for 170 months. Just look at the schedule I've sent you. The highest is 1.8 million. It's not 4 million. There's no 4 million owing. The highest is 1.8. That period under when there was an issue in court, we removed that period. There is 1.8 million. You refuse to pay rent. Somebody today in Madare has no door in the house because they have not paid 2,000 shillings. In some places, they even remove the roof or they lock you out when you're late by just one day. So we're saying there are potholes in the city. We're saying there's garbage, but we don't want to pay. Really. We cannot have your cake and eat it. We cannot have our cake and eat it. And so what is the procedure? For everyone in our county houses who is not paying rent, you will be evicted. That is what will happen. You will be evicted for others to come and give value to the people of Nairobi. Those houses don't belong to me. They belong to all the people of Nairobi who want services from those houses. And they do not belong to you. They belong to the people of Nairobi. We are holding them in trust for them. So yes, there's been, first notice was given earlier in the year. Another notice has been given. There's a statutory time period, you know, and I think maybe the place the Senator was referring to was the Tax Appeals Tribunal or somewhere. There are entities that can also come and negotiate on your behalf, but kila mtu alipe pande yake, so that we can develop our city together, because we need to develop our city. In fact, is it this morning or yesterday on radio, I had Fred Obachi Machoka saying he saw a lot of trash near Camp Toyoyo, garbage. To fill those trucks, to collect that trash, is the rent you pay. There's no other source of money. Even equitable share comes from taxes. On the issue of Jericho, Chair, it is the county's position, no matter how many meetings we have, that land belongs to the county. We have the title deed for that land. There has been the story that there was an agreement with the Israelis that after so many number of years, that the land reverts to the people or the houses reverts to the people. You, as a Senate, have repeatedly asked for that documentation. I have asked for it when I was Senator here. The documentation has never been availed. There is no such agreement, because it would be a condition in the title. The title deed of Ofafa, Jericho, and Lumumba and Maringo is a 1954 title. It's a 1954 title deed. The 1954 title deed on the second page would have had conditions that this land then reverts after 27 years without any need for surrender thereof. That's how it's written in titles. There is no such thing, you know. I believe there was. They will tell you we met them. When I was Senator and when I was campaigning as well, they say 22, 25, 27. I know that story. But there is no documentation. However, Chair, you have the powers as the chairman of this committee to ask the Israelis through their mission if they have any documentation to bring to you about what that arrangement was. Because me, I've looked in City Hall. You know, when they say there's something I should have availed that I'm not availed, you cannot avail a document that does not exist. It is simply not there. There was no such arrangement. Because if that happened, the land, the 290 acres, would have been transferred automatically at the expiry of that period, Chair. So, when you really think about it, my people of Jericho, and the residents, and I hope the residents are hearing directly, the thing that you want to secure is your right to a house. I have said not just Jericho, Woodley, Ziwani, Maringo, Kariobangi South, I will give you a house. What else do you want? I don't understand, Chair. If you've gotten that unit, in fact, let the negotiation be, is it a 2-bedroom like one I have? Is it a 3-bedroom? Is it, you know, what kind of unit is it? I admit, my people can do better in terms of, you know, I tell them communicate also with pictures and whatnot. But when the leadership are creating a hostile environment, I will not send my people to in harm's way. I will not do that. That is me. I can go as a politician alone, you know. But why would I send? Look at how Lydia looks like, and Cecilia. These are mothers. I know somebody is going to bring people to beat them. Why would I send them to harm's way? I will not do that. It will be very irresponsible of me to do that. But that is our position as a county
government. Point of order, Governor.
Yeah.
It is not fair to cast those aspersions to your residents.
It's not an aspersion.
No. I don't think that it is fair to level that accusation that the residents will visit violence on the ladies there.
Just ask about the meeting.
If they are violent, I don't think that is gender-based violence, even if it was you.
Ask about the meeting on 7th of April, Senator. You'll get.
No, I was there myself.
No, 7th of April, you're not there.
The
7th
one
of April 2025.
the one in 2023, the one that happened at the social hall.
I'm saying Charter Hall. Charter Hall. A few weeks ago. And I will send you, actually, I will send you. Do you have some videos of that meeting? I'll just send to you. And you can see. And you'll see people who you can recognize here.
Which is why I said, the chair, I hope Governor can get this. You and me can go and be beaten in
Of
Lumumba.
course.
Let's go. That's why I'm saying, let's have this meeting there in Lumumba.
Chair, let me proceed. Lumumba, again, let me not go into the detail of the meetings that were had. I think 15th February 2021, NMS. And remember, by the way, all these governments that have engaged with you, it's the same government. Government exists in perpetuity, you know. So whether it was NMS or the city council before ETC, public participation doesn't start afresh in 2022 with a new administration. It is the same. But we will not do it in perpetuity. We have to move. We have to deliver. You know, and Chair, it cannot go on forever. That is the point I was making. The LR number is 2097141. That is the LR number of the 290 acres. It exists. And Chair, we will just please share also the copy of the title for them to distribute it. The reservation is for the specific estate. The mother title is 290 acres. That mother title includes markets, it includes dispensaries, it includes health centers. We're not doing urban generation on health centers. But the title that you create then that reservation for Ofafa Maringo, for instance, the number of acres that are there, is what then you will use to create a joint, a JV vehicle with your developer. And that JV is based on that title. And so the value of that title or reservation, whatever you make, as it were, on top of, plus the value of the houses that will be built, is what gives you the JV value. And then our contribution then is our percentage as a county of all of that. I have had the recommendations about off-site infrastructure. Let's look at how we can do it. Because also, you know, the developer is trying to make a profit. Let's see what is workable. But it's a very good point. Because, you know, there's of course we do the TIA, the traffic impact assessment, but you might need to widen a certain connection to the main road. You might need to do a bigger connection to the trunk sewer, which we are doing. In the agreement, the major infrastructure is for the county to do. But many of these developers are willing. I told you I met with the Kenya Property Developers Association, together with the Chinese Developers Association. I told them, look, the roads that I am now recarpeting in Hurlingham, in Chania Road, Kindaruma, all of that, have been spoiled by your trucks bringing premix concrete and chuma. You will need to, first of all, I will not give you an occupational certificate until you restore, but even during the period of construction, you must maintain it, expand, and it was, you know, you can think that you're asking a question that is hard and people will refuse. They were very quick and happy to say, yes, we've been wanting to do this, but no one has engaged us in that way. So in the same way, we can see with the developers what else to add. As I said, restoring also, and the heritage of the old estates, the old estates, some of the things that happened in these estates many years ago, historically, for our children to remember what they were. Jericho, the only thing that is holding us right now is a court case that is soon to be determined. And in that case, it will also be a good forum for all the facts and documentation to be brought. Chair, sometimes I wonder, what nefarious intention would anyone imagine that I have against my residents? What wrong thing do I want to do? I don't want those houses. I have committed you get a house. These houses are being built in 24 months or less. If you don't get it, there's an election coming where you'll say, I lied. Why should I set myself up for failure? We're doing these things genuinely